I look at the Warriors, B, and I say to myself, if they're going to be right, they need an apex version or something that resembles that of Andrew Wiggins. And I just don't know how you get that out of him right now. And I've written down all these questions regarding Wiggins of how you can kind of jolt him out of it. I don't know what it ended up being with Nick Bosa, if he just played better, but clearly he was rejuvenated emotionally, physically, mentally, whatever it was, it worked. And he looked like himself on Sunday.
He did look like himself, and Andrew Wiggins hasn't looked like himself. Or some people may think this is who Andrew Wiggins is. I don't think he's quite this.
No.
I mean, 15% from the three-point line right now with Andrew Wiggins. You got some slumps here. Andrew Wiggins right now just averaging 10.5 points per game, but more concerning to me is the rebounding, just 3.7. And then when you look at the efficiency numbers there, Andrew Wiggins shooting 41% from the floor, and you talk about 15.4% from the three-point line. So here's what I'm gathering. It's not just Andrew Wiggins. There's a little bit of Klay. There's everybody outside of Stephen Curry. This team can't shoot. They're 26th in the league in field goal percentage. 26th in the league in field goal percentage, and 20th in the league when it comes to three-point percentage. And that's partly due to Stephen Curry being on it here. So how do you get Wiggins going? How do you need Klay going? I don't know, but what I'm seeing is when I watched the game back yesterday, and I'm watching the movements against Minnesota, and they were up 36-30, and it looked like they was about to break out of something. Then they just have 4 straight bad offensive possessions, bad shot taking. And what I see is this, not only the lack of speed, but bad body movements in the motion offense. Their bodies just look slow. They're not moving, and when they're moving, it is slow. They don't have the rhythm right now. So how do you get a rhythm? I don't know. Do you shorten the rotation? Do you get guys more reps within the game? Do you try to let Wiggins play out of it and give him more minutes? Do you give Klay more minutes? I don't know what you do here to try to get these guys rolling. But right now they just look slow as a team. They can't stop anybody at the point of attack. Offensively at the point of attack, they can't dribble drive by anybody. And so when you get a guy like Wiggins and Klay, and I'm looking at the two big lineup with Looney and Draymond Green, they need creators to create shots for them. Klay at this stage of his career needs people to create shots for him. And I thought that was the case last season. Too much time, he's dribbling. Andrew Wiggins right now needs somebody to create him open buckets, but the space he wants to operate in, you can't because you have Looney and Draymond off the floor at the same time. So maybe there's a tweak in a lineup that you need. And I don't know what that tweak is. I don't know if it's Kuminga. I don't know if it's Moody. I don't know if it's GP2. I don't know if it's CP3. But right now the Warriors look slow, and dare I say, they look a little old.
I mean, yeah, they were old. I mean, heading into the year. The Wiggins thing is interesting because, like, you're referencing the motion offense. Ideally, where do you get him going on the court? Is it from three-point land? Is it attacking the hoop?
It's the mid-block. It's the elbow. It's 15 feet and in.
So you're throwing it to him, and then you're running split action off of it?
You can run some split action off of it, or you could just say, you know what, just go one-on-one. Get yours. Because I believe Andrew Wiggins is a good one-on-one player, but he's forcing it. And Steve Kerr said it the other night. I'm not going to call plays. I'm not calling plays for him. He needs to be more aggressive, crash the glass. But even doing that,
he's missed so many layups.
And here's another thing.
He's missed 1,000 layups.
When I look at the body, and I look at Andrew Wiggins, and usually he plays around 180, 190 pounds. He looks frail right now. He looks frail. He doesn't look as strong as he used to look. You look at him on the block, you look at him at a rebound, he's kind of just flying around. He doesn't look as strong as he's looked in past years. So maybe that has to do with his finishing, where he's short on the baby hook or long on the baby hook, not finishing, airballing. He doesn't look as strong as he used to look. So I don't know what's going on. Just look at his body. He doesn't look as strong as he did the championship year. Doesn't look as strong as he did the beginning of last year. So I don't know how you get him going. I really don't know. And I'm glad I don't get paid to do that, but they've got to get him going if they want to get to where they need to get to.
There's no doubt.
If not, then it's a different conversation by February.
I mean, well, if not, I mean, they're in deep trouble. I mean, they're very limited in what they can do in terms of, like, moving pieces around. If you're looking for, like, an internal solution, like, because that's what I'm thinking of. Like, before we start going, trade this guy, trade that. Let's look internally. Like, you referenced some of the players that might come off the bench. To me, splitting up Draymond and Looney is a start. That's kind of where I would start. And I don't know who it is. Like, I don't really know if I love CP3 in the starting lineup because you're giving up a lot of perimeter defense. Like you're giving up a lot of that. And now who's protecting the rim, right? Because you're going to get a lot of blow-bys with that group out there. I don't know if it's GP2 because now I don't know if I necessarily trust him to help space the floor. And then process of elimination, like Kuminga, kind of clunky with Steph at times. He can kind of force things and make a situation worse on his own behalf. I look at Moses Moody. He feels logical, to slide in with all of those guys, but I don't know. He's still only 21. TDP, I don't think he's ready for a role like that. Saric, I think they're in a really tough spot here. They need these guys to start playing better, but I would start by trying Draymond at the small ball 5. That to me would be the logistical start, the starting point, and then have TDP be my third center, if you will, in this rotation. And I'm playing Saric. I know I want to play him as a stretch 5, but maybe I'm playing him as more of a passing 4. I don't know, man. Everything's up in the air right now. But starting CP3, I don't know if that's necessarily a quick fix.
Yeah, I don't know, because defensively, you have problems there. You don't have quick feet. So teams are just blowing by. Like watching Anthony Edwards, and even against Andrew Wiggins, because I know that's where we started. Excellent. He went at Andrew Wiggins, quick dribble through the legs, post up, off the backboard, just like, damn, this guy's legit. And Wiggins, we expect him to be that defender at the point of attack, that Rocco that Klay Thompson was before the injuries, where he's on the ball, pressing in 94 feet and making life difficult for you. And right now, you don't even see that with Andrew Wiggins. So defensively, Wiggins' offense is affecting his defense. And he's not the same defender at the point of attack. So when you say about Chris Paul coming in, first of all, you got all these ball handlers on his team. The only guy who can create for themselves right now is Stephen Curry.
Absolutely.
And that's the worst combination to have in the NBA. Defensively, when you have Steph or you have CP3 together and you have Klay Thompson on the floor at the same time, and then Andrew Wiggins, who's not defending at a high level right now, all of a sudden you got 3 guys in the backcourt who can't stay in front of who can't keep their man in front of them. Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Edwards, they got whatever they wanted. And then, Lord help us, Thursday and Saturday was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's going to live in the paint. So now teams are getting 2 feet in the paint at will. They're collapsing your defense. They're breaking your defense down. And now you get to points in the paint. Now they're getting easy buckets. So now they're getting easy buckets. The 3-point discrepancy is not as wide as it used to be. So now you got problems because now you're not defending at the point of attack and you're not blowing by anybody offensively. Like look at the points in the paint the last 3 games. 164 to 114. That's where the Warriors have been outscored when it comes to points in the paint. What does that tell me? Your defense is getting collapsed. You're allowing these guys to dribble drive and just go to the rim. So teams know, 1, you can't stay in front of us. 2, you got no rim protection.
Well,
it's a deadly combination, man.
And they're falling asleep off ball because you're getting a lot of people cutting baseline. You're getting a lot of people attacking. I mean, how many alley-oops over the last couple of games?
Yeah, they're dribble drive penetration. They're collapsing your defense.
And their help defense is not good right now. And then, Draymond getting himself thrown out of that game, you lose some defensive IQ as well, especially in the fourth quarter. So I think they're in a tough spot. But go back to Wiggins for a second. There's the offensive equation, and then there's the big picture equation, right? Okay, where on the court do you get him his shots? I don't love him just bombs away, trying to get hot as he's just chucking threes.
He's not a consistent 3-point shooter.
No, he's back iron on everything. And so if you bench him in terms of the start, at the start of the game, do you lose him? Do you lose him altogether? Because it feels like you've already lost him emotionally, and maybe that's too strong. But he doesn't look like he wants to be a part of anything right now. He's just going through the motions. And maybe when you're playing bad, your body language isn't going to be good, and so it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. But his body language looks so bad right now.
Yeah, it's not good. And, again, his offense is affecting his defense. There's no doubt about that. And so, I know the conversation, a lot of fans, hey, man, just trade Andrew Wiggins. Well, you're not going to do that right now. What are you going to flip him for? And if you don't think highly of Andrew Wiggins, what do you think other teams think of Andrew Wiggins? If you don't think highly of him, you think an NBA exec who gets paid for this thinks highly of him right now? So, no, you're not trading Andrew Wiggins right now. You're not trading Klay right now. You're not going to do that. Not right now. It's November. When we get to January, you get to February, you may be having a different conversation, just like last season. You weren't going to flip James Wiseman in November. You weren't going to flip Jordan Poole in November. You had to wait for a second. And they waited, and they flipped James Wiseman at the trade deadline. That's what's going to happen. So they're going to play the string out here with Andrew Wiggins. But I'm looking at his numbers here, Shasky.
Wiggins?
2.4 3-point attempts a game. Now, that's not a lot, but the shot looks flat. He's shooting 15.4% from three.
Flat's
it looks flat. But I'm looking at him being aggressive. When Wiggins is rolling, he's going to the cup. He's got the baby hook rolling. He's the Penny Hardaway move where he goes through the legs, behind the back, step back, elbow jumper, boom. So
he likes that little play where he gets into the paint and then stops and then does a little fadeaway.
Right.
None of that is falling for him. And even like his little putback bunnies aren't falling. Like the poor guy can't buy a bucket. And to me, it feels like every miss, like the fan base in the arena. Again, I've only been to one game, but in the arena, like you can feel the energy just getting lower and lower and lower with every miss. Like the poor guy just needs a breakout game.
No, he needs a breakout game.
In the worst way.
No doubt about that.
In the worst way.
No
you know
doubt.
what he needs? A couple of transition dunks.
Yeah, and they're not getting out in transition.
No, because they're not getting stops.
Well, they're not quick enough right now. And two, I'm noticing teams, after made baskets, after the Warriors make a basket, teams are getting on the other end and getting layups.
Well,
they're getting great shots.
Yeah.
So defensively, the Warriors as a whole look slow. And if Wiggins is not going to defend, then you have, outside of Draymond Green, Klay and Steph are not defending. They're getting blown by. Chris Paul can't stand in front of nobody right now. It's tough right now as a team defense. And then I look at other numbers too, where the Warriors really separated themselves from everybody, was the made threes. All right, the last 3 games, the Warriors are averaging about 12 made threes a game. Their opponents, 10. Overall, they're a +5 in made threes. When you have a jump shooting team like the Warriors, and you're only a +5 the last 3 games in made threes against these opponents, that's not good enough for them.
But I don't think they are a jump shooting team anymore. Like, who okay,
then who are they?
Well,
offensively.
I mean, Steph is.
Yeah.
Klay is. Who else?
Well, they're definitely not a team that's going to dump it down on the block and get easy buckets.
That I agree with.
So what are you?
I agree with.
What are you? A team that's getting backdoor cuts?
Well, right now you're a team that doesn't really have a true offensive identity. That's what it feels like to me.
So there needs to be a tweak maybe in the philosophy.
Is Saric considered essentially a jump shooter?
He's a pick and pop guy.
Yeah, so I'd throw him in that bucket. I don't know if Moody's a jump shot guy. I don't think so. Definitely not going to make
Well, what is he?
What, Moody? Moody's a hustle guy.
All I'm saying, but the Warriors, but really, when you look at the Warriors, even take the KD years. Yeah, KD, Klay, Steph. Who else was a good jump shooter?
I mean, you had a couple of guys off the. Was Bazemore a jump shooter?
No.
I mean, I'm asking out loud.
No. So they really only had.
But Klay was. I mean, if you're going to say that, Klay was a different Klay.
Klay was a different Klay.
You know, I mean, like that's a big part of where we're at.
But that you basically made my point. The last 3 games, when you look at made threes, it's 12-10 on average. When made threes. Warriors advantage 12-10. That was the great separator for them. Yeah, but you will usually be 16-10, even without the lack of shooting, without these guys.
What you're saying, like, and I like, we have to acknowledge that, like, everyone wants. Well, you paid Klay, yes, but the ethos of the team prior and how they're operating currently is based off what they used to be. And the problem is right now is that, again, Klay's just not the shooter that he once was, and he can reach back and be that guy once every 3 or 4 games. But to be that guy consistently was what made him him, and they're built for him to be. He has to be. You know what I mean? And it's unfortunate because to me he doesn't fit that anymore. And I think they need somebody else to step up here, and they're in a tough spot. Like CP3's not shooting well right now. The assist numbers are there. He is not shooting well at all.
Again, that's the great equalizer. Their 3-point shooting, whether it was Klay, Steph, or whoever else.
Well, also, Draymond was a better shooter in 2016.
Yeah, but, I mean, that was 2016. We're 8 years away from that now. And actually, Draymond Green shot the ball well this year.
He shot
45% from 3.
Well.
So he's actually shot the ball well.
And they missed JP. And JP was a big part of them being a jump shooting team last year.
Yeah, but
we could talk about all the things JP isn't.
Well, he shot 32% from 3, so he wasn't a good jump shooter last year at all. He was very inconsistent.
But there was a threat of it, right?
There's a threat.
I mean, like, and he's also one of the rare guys that could blow by someone. Now, he might smoke it at the rim, but he could blow by someone. I know we want to rip JP, not you, but in general, people want to rip JP for all the things he wasn't. But what he was a guy who could blow by people, who could hit shots from the outside. You had to at least honor him a little.
I know a lot of people are roasting on JP, and that's fine.
I feel like it's
but you know what? If we want to think JP was the problem last year, then wait for the 30 for 30 10 years from now. And you'll see who the problem was, or you see what the problem was. We'll get to that later. But the one thing JP was a guy who could create for others.
Yeah,